Hello, my friends. It's the Bradley J. Show. It's a Bradley J. Show. And we're going to talk about a trip to Spain and Morocco and the adventures therein. The idea behind this is to tell you the stories, but also to get you to sign up for my YouTube channel, Bradley J. Travel. And I'd like you to do that, Bradley J. Travel. Open up another window and navigate to YouTube, find Bradley J. Travel, and subscribe. Because that's where all these videos are going to be. There are going to be a lot of videos. A lot of cool stuff happened. A lot of great images, a lot of good stories, a lot of good video. And the only way for you to see it is, well, the way for you to see it is to subscribe to YouTube. My YouTube channel, Bradley J. Travel. So while you're listening to the stories, open another window in your browser and navigate to YouTube and subscribe to Bradley J. Travel. All right, you ready? So this was a especially fun and meaningful trip because I got to go with Shannon. And Shannon never gets to go because of circumstances. Over the last 10 years, she's been unable to go due to work and other things. And this time she got to go. Actually, she chose the destinations. It was her trip. And she chose Spain and Morocco. And I'm so glad that she did. First, let me say that I have an acquaintance who poo-pooed Tangier. And for the longest time, I didn't go to Tangier because of that poo-pooing. And I wished I hadn't listened because I love Tangier. It's one of my very favorite places. I could live there. This person said, oh, it's too touristy and the people are hassling you, trying to sell you stuff all the time. And I don't know where she went, but that was not the case for me. Nobody hassled me at all. Nobody tried real hard to sell me anything. If you go to Istanbul, that is hardcore. They will, if you make eye contact, you'll never get out of there unless you buy something. But Tangier was great. So the trip went to Madrid, and Madrid is good because there's no connection, and I really don't like the airlines now. The service is not great generally. Well, I shouldn't say that. The service is worse than it used to be in general. So I don't like to take chances on connections. So it was good to go to Madrid because there's no connection there. There is an airline that flies there directly. And the cities were Madrid, Cordoba, Aranda, and Tangier. The main feature of this is the itinerary was not set at all, even during the trip, not last minute, nothing. It was a very loose thing, dependent upon where we could get really good lodging and where train schedules went. And every night was a different lodging room. 9 nights, 9 rooms or apartments or Airbnb. And it is stressful. But the rewards are great. It's stress, a little depends on how much you stress on it. I don't stress that much on it. Versus freedom, the freedom to say, Cordoba. I like Cordoba. I'm going to stay another night. Or I guess we've seen all we need to see of Cordoba. Moving on. Or you meet somebody who says you have to go to this city, like Cadiz, and you go there. So I prefer the freedom over the security. We both took, Shannon and I both took identical backpacks except for the color. 25 quarts, I believe. That's this big. Not big backpacks. Not tiny, not big. 25 quarts. If you saw it, you'd go, my God, that's small. It's probably carries about half, 3/4 of the stuff as a small roller case. It's small. But the idea is to be able to carry all your stuff all day long and not have it be an issue. We saw a lot of folks with roller cases, and it's sad to me. People dragging roller cases along some cobblestone street, or if you need to, say you have to check out of one hotel at 11 and the other one's not ready to 3. Maybe you can leave your luggage in the first hotel, but then you got to go back to the first hotel. What if your next hotel is in another city? Lugging a roller case around is a bummer. I'm a backpack dude. and Shannon happily is on board with that. If you have any comments, let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. Again, this is the stories of the videos that will appear on Bradley J Travel. Subscribe to Bradley J Travel. Open another browser and go subscribe. So let's start. First of all, let me tell you, the first part of the first day was horrific. Mistakes were made by me, I guess. But I'll take the blame for all mistakes. And so there was adventure on the plane. I tried to book good seats, had okay seats. I'm not going to name the airline, but it took off on time, which is something. That is, it didn't get canceled, and it took off on time, which I like. I want to, there's a little bit of interesting, there we go. There was a little fuzzy there. This is better. So the plane took off on time. Big. And I love taking off. I hadn't been on a trip for so long. They boarded on time. I get there really early. Phil says, tell us about Shannon saving lives. One life. And I kind of helped in this. I feel like I was the supervisor in saving the life, but, I should have led with that. I buried the lead, huh? We will get to that. That happened on day one. Maybe day one. So we're on the plane, and the first thing of interest is one of the flight attendants gets on the phone and says, are there any doctors? Are there any doctors? It's an emergency. Are there any doctors? And he did this right beside me. And I said, what about a nurse? And Shannon, I think, was kind of sleeping. He goes, yes, nurse, yes. I guess someone was unconscious. And so I pointed to Shannon. Shannon jumped into action and went to render assistance. The person had fainted. Who knows what the deal is? It's just we don't know why, but she was unconscious and she had fainted. And Shannon rendered assistance and she gradually got better. So that was good. There was also a doctor there, which is nice. But Shannon on the spot. But that's not the big life save. So here comes the arrival in Madrid. Now, usually I will book only the first and last night in the city of arrival and departure. If we're arriving and departing from Madrid, I'll book it in Madrid because you're going to have to be there. You're going to arrive there and you're going to depart from there. So why not book it? It's only one night. But mistakes. I made a mistake not staying in Madrid, as usual, the arrival city, because it was some crazy celebration weekend in Spain and everything was very expensive. And for some reason, found a deal in Cordoba, which was an hour and a half away. Thought, okay, well, we arrive in the morning, we'll just take the train to Cordoba and stay. Bad mistake. We should not have booked the place in Cordoba. Should have booked the place in Madrid. Because also, since there was a big celebration, the trains were booked. Super booked. And you know how much it was to take for two people to take the 90-minute ride to Cordoba? €300. I balked. I said, what? Whoa. There's got to be a better way. Why is it so much? Maybe it's because we're taking it from the airport. So we went to Atocha, the main train station, which Phil Cade has been to, and he's joining us here. Yes, that's right. I went with Phil to Spain, to Madrid one time as well. We had a good time. We'll get to that. But the point is, couldn't get to Cordoba on the train. There was like one seat left for 300. I hesitated, and then it was gone. There were no more. By the time we got to the train station, so you could book it from the airport station. There's a train spot. By the time we got to the train station, it was a bummer. take a number, wait for your chance to talk to the train person, and then it would still have to pay €300. And that's what it costs. It just is what it costs. That's 150 each. The thing I didn't understand is it's 400, almost 400 kilometers, 200 and something miles. So it's like going to New York. And that's how much it costs to go to New York on the train, too, especially on a busy, busy Saturday. And this is the super high-speed train. So I made a mistake. Should have either just booked Madrid, which is really what should have happened, or booked the train in advance to Cordoba. Shannon, being the tech genius he is, while my mind is just frazzling out because it's tired and waiting in the waiting in line for the train station, she got on the phone and found alternative transportation by way of bus. Hooray! And she booked the correct day, the correct time, the correct destination on a bus. Hooray! Problem solved. But that's a huge thing, because I didn't want to, miss out on the money I'd paid for the Cordoba place, which was significant because it was a Saturday and it was a big holiday. So we took the bus ride. First, it was hot and we were tired, and getting to the bus station was a problem because it was a walk. We walked. It wasn't that big a deal if we weren't tired and if it wasn't hot. And then we got to a restaurant to have a refreshing beverage, and the wait person, it was weird. There was a miscommunication that she didn't come out. It was bad. We just said, bleep you. We didn't say anything. We just went to the bus station, got something at the bus station, settled down for a long, horrible, grueling ride, almost 5 hours on the bus. I know, right? You're saying, Bradley J., you're a tool. And in fact, I was a tool. But it was what it was. It is what it was. We did get a couple of bocadillas, some jamon queso bocadillas, which is basically just ham and cheese sandwiches, only really good ham and really good cheese, and a couple of Twix bars, just enough to make it to Cordoba. Grueling flight, consternation, uncertainty, bus ride, and then, though, arrival by bus. Cordoba was wonderful, and the day was fresh and clean, and so that was when things started to get good. Step out of that bus station, beautiful, and over in the distance was a place to sit down and get a beer and get something to eat, and we took a cab ride, easy €6 cab ride, right to our beautiful hotel, which was right next to, feet away from the Mesquita, the Cathedral, which is the most impressive building I've ever been in. Maybe the Taj Mahal is more impressive, but this was built as a mosque, and later on they built a cathedral inside it. But the cathedral only takes up a little space. It is a mosque. The images of that are shockingly beautiful. And you'll see the video and the audio of this on Bradley J. Travel on YouTube. Subscribe now. Open another window in your browser, go there and subscribe, because that's where all the videos will be. I'm giving you a lot of detail right here, so settle in. The hotel was right there, and a view of the cathedral, the mosque, and it was a little expensive, but not horrific, given what even places in New Hampshire cost. So we settled in, and it was a beautiful, appointed very well with old Spanish. It was all oldie Spanishy, old timey stuff, and the room was nice, the bed was nice. We were happy, so that was great. After putting stuff in the room, decided to go for a walk, slathered in sunblock. It was evening, but still the sun is right on you. 240 miles, right? Madrid to Cordoba. Thanks. Did not get to Plaza Mayor. Interesting. We got real near there, and we went, Phil, to places to areas that I went with you, but we did not get to that. We did get to Antonio Sanchez, which is another story. So, settled down to have a first beverage, a nice sangria. And I got a thing that turned out to be my favorite thing, which is boquerones. It's just anchovy fillets with vinegar and oil and onion. And they're only like the cheap €5 maybe. So healthy. They're not fried. They're just straight up fish with a lot of beautiful olive oil on. And so we walked some more. I loved them so much. We went to another place and we got another sangria. I got some more of these boquerones. And just as we're finishing up, the table to the right, 3 women. One of them, I'm getting up and I'm seeing this woman appears to be choking. You know, it's one thing to see it on TV. It's one thing to think about it. It's one thing to see it in the training films. But yep, this woman's choking and can't breathe. And I said to her friends, I said, should we do the Heimlich maneuver? And they were like, And I check again. Yeah, she's choking. I said, I thought Shannon should do it because she's a female. If I do it, who knows what kind of the kind of cultural world we live in now. What if she wasn't choking and I just squeezed her? So I said, Shannon, do the Heimlich maneuver. Shannon instantly did it. Food came shooting out. She really was choking to death. And Shannon popped the food out. And we said, you good? She didn't say anything, but she was breathing. And friends were like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And we just left. Saved the day and left. Good job, Shannon. My command of the Spanish language is impressive. Well, only for certain things like boquerones. That's it. You're probably kidding me because it's, right, Phil, it's not that impressive. Took me 7 days to learn how to say that. La cuenta, por favor, I can say. And a couple other things. Enough to get by. So one night in that hotel, but there was only one night available, and I didn't know if I was going to like that hotel, so I only booked one night in that hotel. Turns out they had another room available, different room, same hotel. For some reason, it was cheaper. And so we said, yay. That hotel was weird. It was kind of he said, this is our special romantic room with it used for VIPs or whatever. Okay. It did have a dome over the bed, like some cathedral-y kind of thing. But the downside was that the condensation from the air conditioning started leaking down from the ceiling. So we had to turn off the AC. So it was kind of hot. Then the next day, it's off to the big adventure. And in that room, Shannon became the booker of stuff online. We started doing leg by leg by leg, booking online. No more bus for us. We learned our lesson. Happily, there was a train available to a place called Algeciras. I hope I'm saying it right. I know I'm not saying it right, but that's as close as I can remember. Basically, it's down on the edge of the Mediterranean, where it's one of the spots where ferries go to Tangier. Turns out there was a better spot, which Shannon had recommended, and I didn't get it, and we should have gone there in the first place, and we did that on the way back. But at least this way we got to see another view of the Mediterranean. So first, the train is awesome and would have been worth the $300. It was so awesome. A leg of this train journey down to Algeciras was fast. It was on the fast train. It went 180 mph at top notch. How do I know that? Because I got these 2 apps, not just one, but 2 speedometer GPS apps on the phone, and I checked them back and forth, and they were pretty much exactly the same. And it was going 180, and it's just so cool to go 180 in a train. Then we get to the smaller trains, and this countryside was almost western, like nice rolling hills with these puffy little trees. Not really quite western, but a little bit. You can see why somebody could have shot a western movie there. And Shannon says, but we got to see the Rock of Gibraltar because we went that way. That's right. That was on Shannon's bucket list. She gets to check it off. Rock of Gibraltar. Seen. Okay. And upcoming is a story of a travel communication situation. You get off the ferry. By the way, they want you to have a hotel on the ferry. When you make out your little paper that you do make out before you debark from your ocean-going vessel, one of the questions is, what's your address? So you got to have something, at least the name of a hotel where you hope to stay. Anyway, so you get off that. It's blasting hot, but still, here we are. We're in Morocco. Another big thing for Shannon and me, being in Morocco. That is exotic stuff. My favorite places to go, among my favorite places to go are Muslim countries. I don't know why. I'm super attracted to all that. So the ferry took about an hour and a half. Got to get from where the ferry lands to Tangier, the town. The ferry lands in Tangier Med, it's called. And it's a massive port. Container ships. It's massive. It's bigger than an airport. It's huge. And you had to figure out where to get a cab. So you get off the ferry and you get on a little bus, and the little bus takes you somewhere. And there are signs that say taxis. So here, I know there's going to be I got to deal with, you're in the world of haggling. So I know that getting a taxi is not going to be all that easy. Find a taxi, and the price becomes an issue. He says 300 dirham. 300 dirham is their money. 300 dirham. Yeah, so that's 30 euro, right? No. 300 dirham. Same, 300. You're saying 300 dirham is the same as 300 euro? So you're saying it's going to cost me 300 euro or 300 dirham? Well, I didn't have any dirham at the time. He just wasn't understanding, or I wasn't understanding. And so there was a little bit of a deadlock there. No, it is the same, 300. And so what I did, I happened to have, and you should always have the localist money you can have on you at the time. I knew it was about 10 to 1. So 300 dirham was about 30 euro. So I just pulled out the euro and showed him 30 euro. And he goes, yes. Whew. And of course, then I'm worried he's going to be there were the switchbacks, high cliffs over the Mediterranean. I thought he might be a crazy driver. He was not a crazy driver. He was a good driver. And on the ship, this is how we roll, man. On the ship, just before getting off, the thing's rolling up, we made a decision on a place to stay. I found on, I don't know, one of the hotel sites, this place called, I'm not going to tell you the name of the hotel because you're going to have to see it and find that out on the video when you subscribe. But it was spectacular, and it was 95 euro, and it was a dream. The taxi driver didn't really know where to go, so we gave him the number of the hotel. He called the hotel guy. Hotel guy gave him directions, but they just kind of dropped us off in the bottom of the hill, because cars don't really go up into the Medina because it's mostly pedestrian. But somebody from the hotel, wearing a fez and a whole uniform and everything, came down and met us. How do you know it was us? I don't know. Maybe the cab driver described us somehow. Like dude with white beard and whatever. It was kind of surprising because out of the blue, some guy said, "You're going to this hotel?" He said, "Yes." Walking to the hotel, it was so fantastic. Shannon and I both wanted a hotel that was really, really felt like exotic Morocco. It was fantastic. And there will be videos. And you can see the videos at Bradley J. Travel on YouTube. Let me go through what Phil's been making a bunch of comments that I haven't gotten to. Yes, so I did say, yes, you did help someone on the plane. I told that story. And we did not make it to Plaza Mayor. That's the main plaza, which is pretty impressive. I don't know, Phil, when did we go there? It was not the summer. So, yeah, 400 clicks is about 240 miles. One click is 0.6 miles. My command of Spanish is impressive. Yay, Shannon, yay. But I did get credit for right away recognizing it and saying, boom, do it. Don't think about it. Boom. I do have to get the credit for that. I felt like the supervisor. Shannon definitely would have done it anyway. But I felt like it was cool. There were both of us standing there. I wanted to do it. But either one of it, Shannon had just completed training that she has to redo all the time. So she had two people willing and able to save the day right there. And it was not even, I realized that neither of our pulse rates went up a bit. It was kind of cool. It's just like, yep, joking, do it, boom, later. I felt really good about that. Shannon says we got to see the Rock of Gibraltar. Phil says, good job, Shannon. The train, Wayne says the train in Spain rolls mainly on the plane. Indeed, Wayne. And Shannon said, many hotel apps used for the trip. Yeah, so we really did see to the pants. It was sometimes Hotware. We looked at Hotware. We looked at Airbnb. We looked at Expedia, Booking, Hotels Tonight, and kind of just made these last-minute choices. Like super last minute. Like we're eating dinner. Where do you want to stay tonight? All right, let's go here. Boom. How far away is it? Okay, looks good. All right, so stay one night at that hotel. And one thing about it turns out about Morocco is its booze is not easy to come by, at least in Tangier. They have it for tourists, but they don't have bars. It was hard to find. There are restaurants where you can get alcohol with your meal, and we did. We went to a very fancy restaurant, which you will see in the videos when you subscribe to the Bradley J YouTube channel. Bradley J Travel YouTube channel. Fancy restaurant. The vibe of Tangier was so much nicer than I expected. I expected them to be all over us, trying to sell us junk. They weren't. It really is. It's definitely a foreign place, man. You definitely think, whoa, this is exotic. But everyone was super duper 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 nice. It's way different than Marrakesh. Marrakesh is way more conservative. They'll look at you if they see you taking their picture. They'll give you the finger. They're not a big fan. But Tangier, more European. And let's remember that Morocco was the very first country to recognize the brand new United States when it became a country. And they will tell you that. They have a real love for the United States, a lot of them. It's not at all like many would expect. So anyway, fantastic hotel. Went out, got tired, came in, enjoyed the hotel, had breakfast. But there was only one night available there. So Airbnb next. And there was an Airbnb that looked too good to be true. It was a villa. It was an entire villa with a pool, your own private pool, and not a little pool, a pretty big pool, a big pool, way bigger than you'd expect. And I'll save the description of it for after we get there, but it was about, they say 20-minute walk from downtown, from the Medina. You know, it's probably 40 minutes, but we were tired and hot, so we took a cab. Cabs are cheap. Cab driver got lost. And then you run into more, there's definitely communication issues, but that's kind of the fun to figure it out. Like, okay, this cab driver is lost. We had an address, but it didn't have a number on it. It was the name of a street. There was no street number, so he didn't know where he was going. So what do you do? And he started to go out too far into an area that was like, what? This is not a very nice neighborhood. This can't be it. I hope to gosh, this is not it. And so Shannon's looking on Google Maps, and I contacted the host on Airbnb and he told me, get the phone number for the cab driver and I'll call him. But trying to get the phone number from the cab driver and make him understand that you needed the phone number, give me your phone number, the number of your phone, that was like major production. The cab driver stopping, knocking on doors and houses, where do I go? And finally, the dude called cab driver and straightened everything out. And the cab driver was super nice. He felt bad. And then we were met by the owner, the host, and it is difficult for me to describe in words the beauty of the Airbnb. You open the door, and the massive kind of living room thing, which is so big it's divided in half by a walkway, half of that is 3-4 times bigger than most hotel rooms. That's only half the living area, with this beautiful array of banquette. On one half, it's sofa level. Another half, it's on the floor. These beautiful Moroccan-style tables, TV. Just the living space alone was probably, and gauging by the size of hotel rooms I see, just the living room was probably 600, 700, 800 square feet. I mean, small hotel rooms are like 190. Decent size hotel, pretty big, is 2 something. This was 2 or 3 times as big as a big hotel room, just the living room. Then there were 2 bedrooms and a full kitchen and really giant bathroom and a pool. So you could go out, but we didn't have any wine. We wanted wine. We had to walk a long way to get some wine. A long way. It was a solid walk. We had to find it. Then we went to a market and got some wine and cheese and stuff. And it's all challenging and sweaty and hot, but the memories of it are great. Went back, and there's a really, really fantastic moment coming up. So we're watching our TV, managed to find an English-speaking movie, and there's a knock at the door at 10 p.m. Knock, knock, knock. Who could that be? Well, it's probably the host. But it was not only the host, it was the host and his wonderful wife holding out a pizza that they had made. A whole pizza. A beautiful, extremely good pizza. Fancy pizza. Not just some New York-looking pizza, but fancy. A whole pizza. And they were just, here you are, guests. Enjoy your pizza. So we couldn't believe it. And we arranged it for him to call in a taxi for the next day. And he did. Of course, you worry that the taxi's not going to be on time, because I've gotten in some real jams with people saying they're going to call taxis to get to the airport, and they don't, and it's a close call. And here's Phil says, and when did you run into Rick Steves? That is coming up. I'll try to pick up the pace here. Don't want to miss the ferry because you paid for the ferry. It's quite a lot. So you want the cab to get there on time. It did. That was beautiful. And the ferry ride back, that's the correct way to go from Tarifa. No, to Tarifa. From Tangier. It's only an hour instead of an hour and a half. And it's not some giant port. It's really easy to get a taxi, which we did. And then we took that taxi to Algeciras to go back to get to the train. But happily, there was a wonderful little place to get some tapa and some vermouth on and that's what we did. And everyone was cheerful. There are photos of that. We'll share the photos. They'll be part of the videos that you can see if you subscribe to the Bradley J Travel YouTube page. Do that right now while I'm talking. So then, get back on the train and go to Ronda. Ronda. That is the small town famous for its gorge. It has a very, and yes, I did not say gorgeous gorge. I could have said that. But look at that. Now I have. It is a deep and impressive gorge. There are birds flying around way down below. It's kind of dizzying to look at. Low railing, vertigo, the whole thing. But a charming small town. But we really hadn't gotten to the tapas kind of places we wanted to get to. One of the main things was the tapas, or tapa, as they say. And this is where we did that. We had tried in Cordoba, but when we got to the ones we had studied up on, they were closed. Well, one was busy. It's too busy to go in. We did a lot of preparation on where to go. We had a list of places to go. But in Ronda, we still were kind of flying blind. The first place we went to was awful. In any city, there'll be the main square, and there'll be this row of tables out on the street, and it'll be filled with people with cameras, and you're going to get crappy food for a lot of money. And we did that because we were super hungry. You got to sit down and eat something at some point. The lesson learned here is don't eat your big meal there. Get an ice cream sandwich, get a sandwich, just get anything to stuff it in your mouth so you don't have to go to a crappy tourist restaurant. We did that one time. But then we kept walking around and find this. Shannon did some research. We tried. It was called Camelot. I'm not sure why. Phil, you might know there's some connection between Spain and Camelot. I didn't realize that. I always think of England, and I'm sure I'm being dumb here. You can probably explain it. Maybe it had to do with the Reconquista. I don't know. But this place, all of a sudden, fantastic. Do you have vermouth on tap? No, but we have it in a jar there that's been soaking. They have their own, and it's tasted so deep and dark and delicious. And it was $2.50 or $2.20 for a big glass. And the tapa dishes were $2.20, $3 each. We got a big plate of fancy Iberico ham. It was $10. It was a big plate of this fancy ham, $10. There would have been $30 in the States. That was when I just wanted to camp out there, stay there the whole time. You'll see the videos of it. But Shannon wisely said, no, we must explore. So we did explore. We went there the first night, and then we explored on the second night. And, it's hit or miss. We came to a place, and you could kind of tell, this just doesn't seem like it's going to be good. It was kind of empty. There were kind of touristy people sitting there. But next door, there was a line forming. And it turns out the place next door was an entirely different story. It mobbed up instantly. It had wild and beautiful tapa, like mussels that had been soaked in vinegar on pate on a cracker. And they give you a little slip to order, kind of like a sushi restaurant. You want one of these, two of these, one of these, two of these, one of these. One waitress for the whole thing, flying around. You make this thing out. You give it to the bartender. You get your drink from the bartender. She brings you your stuff. It was great. There will be a video of that. And each night, by the way, different place in Ronda. I can barely remember the first night, but I cannot remember the second night. First night was fine. Second night scored. When you do this, you can afford apartments. We kind of got spoiled. We're not getting hotel rooms anymore. We're getting apartments with full-on entryway, kitchen, bedroom, living room, balcony. All the showers are really good and all the beds were really good, and I slept very well every night. Let's see, we will get to back to the Rick Steve. So 2 nights in Ronda, and then back to Cordoba because we liked Cordoba. And it was close to Madrid, easy to get to Madrid. Now, upon return to Cordoba, there were, maybe 5, 6 places that we'd seen in the videos we really wanted to get to. We had some specific dishes we wanted to try. So we had learned the hours that they're open and the hours that you can get there and not be too crowded. They open at 8. They usually close at 4 and they're open usually 1 to 4 and then open again at 8 or 8:30. So we figured out, okay, get there at 8. Boom. There was this place I will share with you called Taberna Guzman. Was it Taberna Guzman? I think so. Guzman's the key phrase there. And we'd see the place on TV. They had these big barrels filled with sherry and vermouth, and it just looked so good, and it was recommended. Had tried to get in there before it was really crowded. This time, not crowded. As a matter of fact, empty. We could go right up to the bar where it's much cooler. We had a table, then we went to the bar. But upon going in, Shannon went in before I did. We had gone in together, but I said, I'm going back out to videotape an exterior shot. So she went in and I started to do that. And she came zipping out saying, like her eyes were wide. She said, I think that was Rick Steves. I think that was Rick Steves that just walked by. And I said, you mean that dude who just walked by is Rick Steves? So he might have walked by 5 to 6 to 7 to 10 seconds ago. And he was just outside the restaurant, maybe 8 yards from the entrance. And his back was to me. And I just said, Rick! Right? And he didn't turn around right away because he knew it was some fanboy. But he was speaking to a person that was a tour guide that probably worked for him, or maybe he was thinking about working for him. I said, and he did turn his head, and I said, Rick, I met you at WBZ, where I used to work. That's key to have some sort of credentials like that. And I didn't ask for a photo. And he said, oh, and he said, well, I knew that you knew what you were doing because I had a gimbal and wireless microphone. So he did notice my rig. And if anybody knows him, I want to work for him. Reach out, tell him, this guy wants to work for your company. I don't know exactly what I want to do, but I want to work for the company. So someone might see this that knows how to access him. Please let him know. And he was quite generous with his time. He said he's coming to Boston to do a thing with the Pops, which is true. And it's funny, the days after that, he was on Facebook a lot, just like anybody else, just like with his phone, doing stuff just with his phone. Hey, it's Rick Steves. It's interesting how the technology of the time has changed, and he may still, I'm sure he's still going to do his other things, but he's kind of doing Facebook like everybody else. And so I spoke to him maybe not 5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes. Because you don't want to burn the guy out. You don't want to be, it's much better to be cool and just say, hey, what's up? Da, 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 da. Okay, bye. Shannon came out, met him, and we met his friend and guide. And the thing that impressed me most was that Shannon was very gregarious towards the guy and not all starstruck by Rick. We was like, hey, Rick, what's up? Oh, hey, how are you doing, guide? So we weren't rude and didn't just pay attention to Rick. We paid just as much attention to the guide. So it was overall very good, his friend. And so overall it was very good. And that's also where Shannon made her debut on the video. She will be talking about the food. She's going to be on the video. So that's another reason to go to Bradley J. Travel and subscribe. Back to Tangier, the people were so nice that, we got choked up by that, by how nice they were. Camelot is a general term, place, time, group, people where there's a lot of excitement and hope and belief in what can be achieved. Well, all right. Of course, that makes sense because you had your John Kennedy Camelot. Okay, thank you. Boy, that was worth the price of admission. I'm almost almost finished up here. So, the return to Cordoba was great. And so the next night, we found two more of the places we've been looking for. We went at like 8 o'clock. They were not near downtown. Had to go walk far to get there. And we went to two of them, which is kind of a mistake because by the second one, we were so stuffed. They're all beautiful with tiles, families, not touristy at all. And yes, Phil, I believe I did travel with my business card. Did I give him one? I did not. And I might have just spaced, but I don't even know if I would have. I think it's much cooler to now reach out and say, oh yeah, I met you at BZ and we chatted a bit in Cordoba, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to give him the full court press on reaching out. I need to find out if there's anybody that wants to be a detective. I need to find out how to get to the decision makers in that company. But that was Phil. I generally do, and yeah, I did. I did not give it to Rick Steves. Don't know if that was a mistake or a good thing, because it would have taken a nice interaction and changed it somehow. Maybe it would have been okay. I don't know. I don't regret not giving him the business card, though. I actually want to get a business card with a QR code in it. So we went to these two other places the next night. Then got in the morning, got on the train. We had this, little bit of a hotel story. The 8th hotel went to, the room was tiny. It was a fancy hotel, but the room was so tiny that when you try to pull back the chair from the little tiny dumb desk, you couldn't because it hit the bed. We were disappointed. It was fairly expensive. Not crazy expensive, but kind of expensive. So I went down there and said, oh, do you have another room? Yes, we have another room. But it too sucked. It was a bummer. I went back down again and said, do you have any upgrades? Is there a way I can pay some more money to get a better room? Because, we'd gotten some deals on hotel. You already spent a bunch of money. What's a few more bucks to get out of this little tiny room? For 30 more euro, just 30 more euro, got a room that was a suite, a junior suite, but it was more than twice as big. It had 2 entire rooms. Just the bedroom was bigger than the entire other apartment. Then there was another whole room and a much bigger bathroom. It had a view of the cathedral or the mosque in Cordoba. The point here is always ask about an upgrade and just see and if they let you, look at the room, see what the ratio of money to improvement is. And in this case, it was spectacular. The room should have cost twice as much. It cost $30 more. And then back to Madrid. The next place in Madrid we booked on the last day, probably on the train or something. And it was an Airbnb in the area near the Rostro Market where I think Phil went. And it's called Lavapiés, I believe. I hope I'm saying it right. Near La Latina, kind of near Antonio Sanchez, which is my favorite of all the places. And it's fun for me because I'd been there both with Phil and his brother Dave, and a separate time with Shannon. So this was a third time to this place. And it's important because as time moves on, you almost think of the trips and places you've been. They get kind of fuzzy. They get kind of abstract. Was it real? Did I really do that? What did it feel like? And so seeing that place again, and it's exactly, Phil, exactly the same as it was 10 years ago, 12 years ago. Was really cool. And this time I had the equipment to really document the heck out of that place. And then Shannon, on her bucket list was a place called Cerveceria Alamena, at which we had some 10 years ago or something, beer. I had broken my finger, so it was in a little finger cast. And we'd had in calamari, lightly fried calamari. And the idea was to go and have the exact same stuff in the exact same seat, which reportedly is the seat that Ernest Hemingway sat in, whatever, who knows. If Ernest Hemingway actually sat in as many places as he has purported to have, then, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's like everybody was at the Sex Pistols' first gig. There are hundreds of thousands of people who were at that first gig, which only had probably 200 people. Okay. Okay. Yes, that, very good. I want to work for you, Rick at ricksteves.com. Jeez. All right. Was that simple? I'm going to definitely send him my stuff. I'll say, hey, Rick, I ran into you. He's going to do a thing with the Pops. I did an interview for a video for WBZ about the Pops. Maybe I'll send him that. I'll send him the recent video I did of Union Oyster House to show him what I can do. And I don't know, it might be a way for their group to use my skills. But at any rate, I need to try. So that's good. And it's funny, he looked a little different. But I got to remember that these videos he's done are 15, a lot of them are really done a long time ago. But he was genuinely warm. And a lot of times you're disappointed when you meet your heroes. He was awesome. He was not disappointing at all. He was so cool. And so that's pretty much it. I think then, getting back to the airport, a little bit of a stress out. Took an Uber back. And the Uber said, it's kind of recommended you go to this spot, but we couldn't figure out where that spot was. Go to Teatro something, but we couldn't figure that out. So we just kind of stayed where we were, and the dude showed up, and we got a ride, and it was the way to go. Wasn't very expensive. I always get to the airport early. I'd rather hang around in the airport than have something go wrong. And it was fairly pleasant waiting in the airport. The flight on the way home was sweet. No delays. A little bumpy, nothing scary, though, on the way back, and then it smoothed out. And then she glided right into Logan Airport. So it was a day of, the trip lasted, I think it was in country 9 nights. So was it stressful? Oh, yeah. The way I do it is super stressful. It is. It's not like you're going to not have a place to stay. But I want to be able to say, I don't like this. I'm done with this town. I'm moving on, or I want to go to that one. Oh, this looks cool. Or maybe you get a palace as an Airbnb and you say, I want to stay here more. Of course, that place was not available. I don't know how it happened to be available that night. Here's another thing. There are cancellations sometimes. So if you're booking in advance, a place might not be available that is available on that night. And sometimes, I swear, the prices are lower on the last night. Then there's always Hotwire, hotwire.com. But that's kind of a bummer because you can't really see what the place is like. It's not like the others where there are 30, 60 photos, or Airbnb where there's 30, 60 photos. Airbnb is good too because you can contact the host and ask him questions to get a sense about the host. Always stay at a place that's super host. Makes a difference. Oh, and I'll tell you another big thing about Airbnb. I never do Airbnb in the States because of the disgusting and shamefully high rates they charge for cleaning fee. They'll tell you and a place is X. Let's say a place might be, oh, this is only $150. A cleaning fee will be $75, and then other stuff. It's just disgusting. Over there, for some reason, a cleaning fee $19, $20. It's not the kind of disappointment it is here. So in Europe, particularly Spain, and actually Italy as well, and probably others, Airbnb is a way better option than it is here. Any other thing? Guard your passport with your life. Don't leave it in your room. That's what I say. Don't leave it in your room, especially at a hotel. Just don't. Have a safe way to keep it on you at all times. As far as money goes, if you can get the money here in the States ahead of time, do it at your bank, if your bank does it. And if you're going to another country where you can't get the money ahead, the best option is generally to hit up what do you call it? A money machine. An AT&T machine. ATM. You will probably have to pay like a fee of $5 or whatever. But a lot of times your bank in the States, if you have a big bank, will have an associated bank that if you go to their bank machine, it'll waive that fee. Anything else? Oh, as far as your PIN goes, a lot of some countries can't handle a 6-digit PIN. So check out to make sure if they can, or just change it to a 4-digit PIN for a while. That was the case in some of the Eastern European countries. So that's enough for now. Bradley is such an excellent raconteur. Thank you. So this whole thing was done without the aid of photos or video. I've just gotten a new computer because my other one was, it was so old that it wouldn't even use the new version of the operating system, so I had to get a new one. So it's taken a while to suss it all out and get a new monitor and get up to speed. But once I am, the short videos this time will start rolling out. So I hope you will go to YouTube, Bradley J Travel, and sign up. As an aside, what else is going on? I'm kind of excited because, and I believe Phil knows Dave Hurley. Dave Hurley is a musician, and I went to a gig of his. He did a solo gig with a band. Solo meaning not O positive, that was his band. Solo in that it's not O positive, but with a full band. And Dave's been talking about collaborating. And I'm a terrible musician. I'm surprised he would want to collaborate with me. Yes, I can produce good songs, but as far as someone saying, play that song. Can you play an A minor? I haven't been doing much with other people, so I don't have a lot of skills, but still he wants to collaborate along with Jeff Berlin, who's a production wizard. And so that's going to be pretty interesting. So that's coming up. So I need to get my musical chops up. Seeing Dave perform the other night made me resolve to get some discipline when it comes to my musical playing, both keyboards and guitar and bass. And I'm a little tired of tweaking on doing the production on Logic. I want to play physically. And this will give me an opportunity to do that. So thank you, and share this, will you? Share and share alike. And thank you, Phil, for this. Yes. Hi, Rick Steves. He's my man. I've watched all his things, all his shows. The Best of Europe with Rick Steves. 6 times, every one of them. It's because it's kind of a default. Can't find anything on. Oh, let's watch Rick Steves. So seeing him was a big deal. That's it. So thanks to Shannon. Shannon, by the way, a fantastic travel partner. Good in the crunch when the chips are down and it gets stressful. Super together. And we got along fantastically the whole time. It's interesting. We were not out of each other's sight really at all. For all that time, we got along super well. And so that's wonderful. We have great memories, and hopefully I'll be able to share some of them with you via video. Via is a new word, right, Phil? Via video. And the way to do that is to, right now, it sounds like a telethon, I know, go to YouTube, go to Bradley J Travel, and subscribe, and click on the bell to get notified of these new videos. How long have I been doing this here today? Oh, an hour. Good place to stop. It's an hour and 22 seconds. So look for that new video stuff, and thanks Phil and Wayne and everybody and Shannon for hanging in there with me during this. And Phil, I really love it that you get involved and you comment and all. I really appreciate that. And that is all. Bye. Woo!